What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Snapchat again later here on a Monday. Alex, how you doing, my guy? I'm just getting off a flight. I can't go into too much detail, but I had a pop-up sponsorship between like three of my favorite current things for sure. Well, okay, now one of them I just loved in general. You have Marvel, Rivals, and then Lego. I can't go into too much with it, but it was fun for those that are in Miami. That's where I was at. I was in your hood, and my gosh, it was hotter than hell over there, man. Miami is a spectacle, let me tell you that.
I've been to Miami when my wife and I first got married. I think we went on a cruise, like a relatively inexpensive cruise when we first got married. And we went out of Cape Canaveral, I guess, which is in Miami, right? And I just remember being like, damn, it is so unbelievably hot and humid outside at the same time. It's not just the heat, it's the humidity. Like the whole thing is like just a mixture, a recipe for discomfort.
It's a recipe for disaster. But also a lot of fun. Like I get why people enjoy it. It was a quick one. I flew like 7 hours to get over there, and then was there for like a day, and then flew another 7. It was rapid and fast, but it was my first time. Get this, because the shout out to the sponsor. My first time flying first class in my life, and it was.
Really?
It was something, dude. Have you flown first class before?
I said that like I do it all the time. No, I'm flying coach all the time.
Have you ever done it though?
Flown first class.
Okay, it was my first time.
I
Dude,
ain't cozy snap.
No, what is my first time, dude? I was blown. It was cool. It lived up to it. I gotta tell you, man. I got, you get some real silverware. The food. You always think like airplane food gonna be bad. Food was top notch. It was a dang good time. It was great. I had a good time, and I was able to like work a ton on my laptop and stuff. Played a little RuneScape, chilled out a bit on the flight. It was fun, man. But yeah, so coming back from that, it was involved with the Miami Dolphins too. So big NFL guy.
Oh man.
Yeah, big NFL guy.
It's amazing.
Oh, it was so cool. Got to meet a lot of awesome players. The whole thing was just out of this world, man. It was one of those like I can't believe this is happening. But yeah, man. This in between that and then Comic-Con's coming up. And then I go to China, so it's gonna be it's a hoot and hollering of a season over here.
It's a very busy time to be a Marvel Snap gamer. That is crazy, dude. It's so funny because like to give you an idea, like it's like cozy. It's like, here, Mr. Snap, how are you? Great to see. Here's first class. Enjoy. Oh, you're Alex. Go sit on the toilet for a bit, buddy. You'll be all right, buddy. You just go on the toilet. Okay, so first of all. The last time I was on a flight where I actually felt like I was getting like more than just normal service, I was actually going home from San Diego, believe it or not. And it was from TwitchCon, and I was sitting beside someone, and they were like, on multiple times of the flight, they were like, hello, would you like here's your wrap, and here's your burrito, here's your candy for your trip. They kept getting all this stuff, and they were like, hey, I honestly don't mind this. Do you want this? Do you want this pack of candy? Do you want this burrito? Stuff like that. I'm like, no, I can't. They're like, no, I insist. I'm really not gonna eat it. I want to go to waste. I'm like, well, sure, I guess. And they're like, yeah, they were like an executive for Twitch.
Oh no!
And they were getting all in part of their flight package included all this stuff, but they didn't want it. They're just like, I just want to go to sleep. So if it comes, just take it for me. You're free. I'm like, so I was like, this is basically first class.
Oh, dude, I eat everything. I eat everything that they get. Like it's like, do you want these? Like they gave hot nuts, man. I didn't know I was a fan of hot nuts, but I am. I'm a fan. Yep. No. Exactly. It sounds exactly what it sounds like, man. It was like they're in this little bowl. It was fantastic. But yeah, man, it's a good time. I got to play a lot of Snap too, which was cool. Because oftentimes I don't get like 6 hours to just sit there and chill. And so that was that's I think obviously we're gonna talk a lot about today. New card coming out, but also like how Snap doing. The future of the Snapchat a little bit and everything in between. We probably in the next 3 to 4 weeks are going to be doing these kind of later Monday episodes. Just works out better in the summertime and for casting and a number of reasons. So we're not late. We're right on time over here. But yeah, man, the heck of a start of a season for Snap. Lots to break down there. Definitely a bit of a crazy week. If you're wondering why Alex's camera looks like he's streaming from his calculator, what happened?
I know it looks so bad, and I'm like hoping it goes into focus. Like I'm like, why is it out of focus?
You look less pink.
Usually I don't, dude. I know I don't usually look as good as you, anyways. Well, I mean that's just let's be honest, right? It's
Stop the glazing.
like usually I look kind of worse anyways, and today it looks way worse because my main mirrorless camera is dead again. It just died again. It's the second time it's done this, so I've had to send it for repair, the whole thing. And Cozy and I, just before the Snapchat, he was like, "You really gotta like get a new camera."
Dude, I think that camera is making you look like the Thanos drag queen thing, though. I'm telling you, you look less pink here.
And like this, you mean like the white balance is better, even though I'm not in focus? I gotta figure out like why am I not in focus?
Nah, you look great. You know what I have to say though is I loved that video you did, the Fantastic Car one from the lake. That to me, man, that's the future content. I think you should do that more often. I think that's like way more. I don't know. I watched the whole thing and I was glued to my camera looking at your beautiful face. But I just think it was a cool format, especially for like conversation pieces and stuff.
You know what? I appreciate that you say that. I think with so many things coming with Snap and everything, I create content because I really love it. I really do love it, and I don't know what my life would be like without content creation. And I kind of want to reinvent myself a little bit and see if I can have some fun and do some unique things. I'm really glad you said that because maybe I can get back to something like that. You know, kind of go outside the box a little bit and try to experiment in the future on YouTube or Twitch or whatever it happens to be. Reinvent myself the way Cozy Snap and Cozy Rivals has such done, right? So anyways, buddy, that really means a lot to me. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Of course, man. I had a lot of free time too. I was banging through stuff I never get to do, bud. But we know what we're talking about over here, Alex. What are we talking about on your side of the Snapchat?
Cozy, on my side of the Snapchat, pretty straightforward here. We're talking about the Series 5 cards that came out this week, including Herbie and, of course, Mr. Fantastic. We're also going to be talking about Fantastic Car, the Series 4 card that came out via the Super Premium Season Pass. We'll be discussing that situation a little bit, whether or not, is it worth it? Is it good for the game, and etc. We're also going to be doing the Snapchat mailbag, as always.
Well, man, we'll hop right into it. A lot of the fun stuff I want to say about the cards so far, obviously, going to be on your side. Oh, hey, look at that! Look, guys, this is how you know we're running fast and loose over here. How did I not? There we go. Bam! Look at that on the fly. And I put Hebe. Oh, it's a great day to be a Marvel Snap player. But no, over here, man, we're talking about just like a checkup on Marvel Snap a little bit. And then the future of the Snapchat. No doom and gloom. I feel like every time I put that on there, people are like, ah! But no.
I also didn't know we were talking about this till this exact moment either.
Exactly.
So just know that, like, I don't have like a long list of like for the future of the Snapchat. We're going off the cuff, baby.
I like making Alex have no notes. He's a very proficient note taker over there. But yeah, man, let's talk. Okay, so let's talk about Human Torch. Now that we know more about the card and just how cracked this seems to be, I mean, this full season so far is looking like a good one. I mean, between the first 3 cards we've had, those are all pretty dang good. Like, even in just like the playing on the plane, I was like, okay, so these are cracked, right? So in general, with Human Torch, guys, he's a 3-cost, 2-power card. End of turn, gain +1 power. So you play him down on curve, nice little 3/5, right? But once per game, if your side here is full, he doubles that card's power. So great potential of what a 3/10 in just standard play. If you play him on curve, obviously play him late, he's going to be a little bit less, impactful. But Alex, before we jump into the specifics, what's your star rating?
You know what? I'm sticking with my 4.5. I think this is a really good card. It was near the top of the season for me. I almost gave it number 1 last week, even though I decided to go with the Invisible Woman. I think this card's fantastic, man. And the reason why it's going to absolutely just clap cheeks is because, so essentially, dude, the Mr. Fantastic has already rejuvenated, like, Surfer. Surfer's already just banging, and now this is directly going to go into that. It's like an already good deck's going to get better.
People give me crap for a number of reasons, and I love it. I'm always here for the crap, but it's like, oh, you don't play Snap or whatever. If I'm pretty spot on, I would say, for someone who quote unquote never plays with how some of these cards are going to work out, and especially when I didn't have time to experiment a lot. But Fantastic and Surfer, it was so natural together, and we kind of talked about this scaling of the month, like it's only going to get better and better. That deck specifically is just going to get better and better as well, right? There was a number of decks that ended up doing well, but you put in now Mr. Fantastic, which. It was so tough to talk last week about some of these synergies because we had to talk about each card, right? But then, like, how much each one enables the other. Loved Mr. Fantastic. I gave him a 5. 4.5 for him, I think, is definitely fair because as a standalone card, right, on curve, you have just a good value card. Like, crazy strong. Like, I don't want to say Surtur, but, I mean, the threshold that you have to hit to get him in that high power is pretty pretty standard, pretty easy, especially by playing him on curve, right? So he is that Surtur level of somewhat power. But Surtur didn't belong in Surfer, right? Like we knew that he had his one deck. What's so great about Surfer is that you can flex in different cards, different styles, whatever. Now you have a card that amplifies that even more so, that can carry a lane vertically again with other cards, and it all synergizes with Mr. I think Surfer is just like, it's bound to be just carrying meta now for a while. It's just such a strong deck that has even more, ahead of it.
This has been one of those moments where I'm like, damn, Surfer is in such a great spot. And not just because of the Human Torch. We've had like this disruption-based Surfer with Gladiator and even Shangers in there, with Fenris doing a lot of work lately, which has been really cool. Beautiful cook. And then now with Mr. Fantastic alongside something like Human Torch, you have this additional power generation that's just insane. And what I like about Human Torch is obviously you get, if you do like Mr. Fantastic on 2 and then you do a Human Torch on 3, that's fine. You can play this on 3. You could play this on 4. And because of, and of course, min-maxing wise, you're going to want this out early. I understand that because of that end of turn power generation. But if worst comes to worst, like you could still play this late and get a decent enough body, right? Like it's not going to be popping off, but what if it gets hit by Mr. Fantastic? What if it gets surged? What if it gets Nakia'd or whatever, right? It could potentially use that, like that fill thing to pop off a little bit.
Without question, we used to play Surfer and have like, okay, we hope we get brewed into blank, right? But then it was like, well, if I just remember, like even way back, I was like, okay, I've had this rogue that couldn't hit anything. I guess it's a body to get the Surfer bonus. Like think about in terms of like way back what we used to do there. Like this is always going to hit that in that regard, and Shang-Chi proof in the sense of it becoming that huge power later in the turn, right? At the end of the turn, if you wait for that last pop off bit. And so it has that building for it. It wants to have boosted power. It's getting all that from not only Surfer, but a number of cards in the deck that can give that as well. And then with, not to go into Mr. Fantastic, but one of the things why it was an easy 5 for me is like there's so many cards that he enables to be played sooner that just is so good that continue to synergize, Surfer being obviously a big shout out with that. So yeah, definitely love this guy. Now, I will say one of the things I ran into is kind of what we said about the Sauron decks, where it's like, man, when you get too many cards at the same cost, it can be a little sticky. Surfer obviously can avoid that a bit more, but like not all these fantastic cards are gonna be able to fit together. It's just gonna not work out that way. And what was once super flexible Surfer is getting more narrow because you're having cards like this that are becoming now a must include, right? And so yeah, you can go off the beaten path a little bit, but you are putting yourself slightly at a disadvantage if you don't have, some of these cards, obviously.
Funny that you mentioned that, because it's almost like when Surfer wasn't quite good, you could put anything in there. Like you could respond to the meta in a way. You could run Killmonger, Nova. You could just run Killmonger to take things out. Actually, that's what the more modern decks do. They have Fenris, they have Killmonger with no 1-drop, so you can wipe out their 1-drop at a minimum and bring it back, for instance, right? And then now you're right, as things get tighter and the 12 cards you need to make a deck become much more refined, then all of a sudden, like some of those flex plays suddenly can't be played, right? Like I have not seen a Hope Summers in the Surfer deck in the longest time. Hope Summers used to be pretty good there because you could play something like a Hope Summers, then on turn 5 you play your Sarah. Suddenly, you not only do you have the Sarah effect, but you have the extra energy, which allows you to do like 3-drop Absman. But now with Surge, Mr. Fantastic, and others, you don't even need that combination. So that card's been power crept. I mean, as a whole, like it's crazy to think that Hope Summers doesn't see play, as good as that card is. You're right. Silver Surfer is getting tighter, and that is it's kind of sad to some degree, but I'll never be upset about a Surfer deck being meta.
Yeah, no, I mean, again, if you've just been playing Surfer forever now, like you've been set, because like there's been the same staples, like obviously Brood, Killmonger, whatnot. But then ever since like Negasonic being good, you have that. Juggernaut's always just like a standalone good card. Like you have cards that are going to be able to flex in and have the same value as other cards because they bring a different surprise factor, and the less they're played, the more surprised they are, right? And then you could, obviously Copycat and like the boomer bust of that card. There's so many vertical winners now for this deck. It just works out so well, especially with what this card has to offer. Yeah, I think this thing has the world ahead of it. I think this is a very good card. Not to mention, obviously, the Fantastic card is that's a good card. So when you have that type of power behind it too, it can also work out of Surfer. You can put it into other decks too, where it's going to benefit. I guess again, not to go into Fantastic card too much, but do you think that this can find its way? Maybe not the Evo decks or whatever, but like, can it find its way into decks with that?
I'm not sure. I don't think. I don't want to say this because then I'm gonna like force into reality. I don't know if Fantastic Art could replace the likes of Gwenpool or even the nerfed Galacta or stuff like that in those Surfer shells.
No, out of
But,
Surfer.
like-
Out of Surfer.
Oh, out of Surfer. I thought you were referring specifically to Surfer. Yeah, for
Yeah, yeah.
sure.
Yeah,
Like, I
that-
think there's definitely potential there. Yeah, yeah. Sorry, I thought you meant Surfer specifically.
No, yeah, I think for sure you're gonna want to just go with Galacta, and then if not that, Gwenpool has just been the staple in there. But and not to mention, man, it's just like this card, the fact that it doubles when you have now Reed just being able to give like there's so I think we said this last episode is like there's so many more cards that give power now that if this came out 2 years ago, it wouldn't be that good. Like it would be good because it's Surfer, but you know what I mean? Like there's so much more. Galactic, Gwenpool, Reed, all those easily give power.
Dude, I mean, if we were doing like kind of like our favorites of the month so far type thing, which I love doing, maybe we'll do that another week. Like my 2-drop would be Mr. Sinister. And you're like, Alex, that's crazy. Why are you talking about Mr. Sinister? All these buff mechanics that we've been getting, we got Reed Richards, we got Gwenpool, all these things. I'm dropping like 12 power effective Mr. Sinisters. Like it's crazy, right? Like it's not hard to generate massive power in Marvel Snap. And the thing I love about Human Torch as well is you get this out on 3, it starts ticking up the power. It's not like a Wolfsbane where you got to play it into a full location. You could fill the location after and get its double up in power. So like that's easy with Brood. It's easy with like other types of things you can do. So like, yeah, I think this is an absolute banger card.
Like a year and a half ago, Patriot Surfer was going crazy, and that was still with Mr. Sinister, still Absorbing Man, still Brood, and that was back then, right? So it's like now you combine all that with what's now, and yeah, it's through the roof. So Human Torch, I think, I personally think that if you got the season pass, not the +1, but if you just have Mr. Fantastic and this, you're probably set. Like the rest of the cards are good coming out, but like these two together are gonna just be such a wombo combo to win you plenty of the season. It's Surfer, so it's super flexible. I do think, dude, I think there's a world this thing goes down to 3-1. That's why I put it as it may be too hot. Like, it just feels like there's just zero downside to the card other than playing it late. But even then, you still have that potential to get a value out of it, right? So I would not be shocked if this thing gets flamed off a little bit.
It's such a tricky thing because changing it to a 3-1 is actually a massive nerf. Just like moving like Gladiator 1 power additional was such a huge buff because it double dips on its power, right? It allows it to trade more effectively. This is similar. When you have this doubling effect, every additional power you start with is very impactful because of the double, right? It double dips on its power. If they were to do that, I think it would be rough. However, I wonder if do you change it to a 2-1? But then you're competing with Reed Richards, Surge, and everything. That's just irrelevant. I think it's actually good that it's a 3-drop.
Yeah, it has to be a 3-drop. I want it to be a 3-drop to stay as that. I just feel like Surfer's already at a 60+% win rate without this card in there. And that's going to go up even more with it. And there is some flexibility there, of what you want to get rid of or what have you. So we'll have to find out when this thing comes out. But this is definitely looking pretty solid. Anything else to wrap up this conversation before we go into our Marvel Snap checkup?
Not necessarily. I do think it's going to be good in Zoo. I believe I mentioned that prior. I think that it has potential to fill there. Obviously, Surfer's a very natural spot for it, but to straight up passive power, wanting to have locations full, things like Ultron decks do that very naturally. And often like Ultron, you could play this on 3, honestly, and still have time for Blarvels and Patriots and stuff like that. I also thought about this is a bit of cope for my notes, but I was like, what if you tried something like a Prodigy, right? You Prodigy this card, you start with higher base power, it ticks up as well. Then you fill it with Ultron or something like that. Then boom, boom, and it's huge on 2 lanes because you got your Ultron lane, you got the Prodigy Human Torch lane. I don't know. I was thinking about it. I think that starting with a higher base power of Prodigy could actually do some cooks there. But overall, I think this is gonna be a fantastic card. It would be very shocking to me if this underperformed.
I like the idea of Zoo with it too. Just filling lanes quick, Gilgamesh. There's a lot of synergy that can happen there with power boosted stuff. Potentially, all this is not gonna be as good as Surfer, so this is more dipping into the fun stuff. I think, right? It's pretty obvious when we get to that. But yeah, man, 4.5 card. This is probably, I don't want to say it's my card of the month because we've already given that to others, but mine was Reed, right? So Reed is obviously you already got that. So this is definitely the one that I would pull, and it's early. That's the thing. You get to pull it early, especially if you've been keeping up with the cards. You have so much better shot to grab it. So that's my review there on Human Torch. Let's do a little checkup, man, on Marvel Snap. So I want to open up with, I was talking to some of the players of the Miami Dolphins, bro. Okay, these guys are making millions, right? Millions. No. This is important. And I was talking about, they're Marvel fans, right? We were talking about gaming, Marvel in general. And we were talking about Rivals. We were talking about Snap. And funny enough, I was like, yeah, I don't think you'll know, but, you know, there's a game, Marvel Snap. Like, did you happen to play that at all? And one guy played Magic. He's like, oh, yeah, I played Marvel Snap, like, a lot. I was like, oh, did you stop playing? And he's like, yeah, it got too expensive for me, is what an NFL player had to say about Snap. And in that moment, I literally just cackled. I was like, wow. And obviously, this guy can afford whatever he wants. So that's relative, right, to the person. But, like, you desensitize yourself when you continue to play something, right? And you're kind of, there's sunken fallacy in it. And there's like, oh, a $10 card, and we'll get into that more with the Fantastic card, but it's like, oh, it's only $10 more. And it just, you cope with it, right? And I think when we did that episode about with Regis, it's like, man, the biggest thing I said is like, go look at your spinning, and it's pretty obvious, you know, how out of control it can get. And so when that was said, it's like, man, if that's a statement that he would say, it's like the general pop has got to be 10x that. And that's not, you know, all where I want to take this conversation, but I thought that was like an interesting opener.
No, for sure. To hear that, like, someone who makes potentially hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars, even if you're at, like, let's be honest, even if you're at league minimum, you're doing pretty damn well in the NFL, right? And Snap's too expensive. It's kind of crazy, but it also, like, it goes to show you just how expensive this game is. And it's almost made me wonder, have you ever heard of the old saying that, like, if you get a frog and you throw it in boiling water, it'll jump out, but if you put the frog in warm water and then slowly boil it, it'll just sit there? Basically the idea that, like, you almost become accustomed to the cost of things and almost desensitized, right? And I think that as Marvel Snap players, we almost get desensitized to the cost of each individual card itself. And the idea that, you know, I don't know, like Kid Omega cost like $100, or just trying to be collection complete, like, you really, it's prohibitively expensive, and that's kind of wild for a digital card game. It is crazy to hear that an NFL player is like, yeah, it's too expensive.
Well, it's like Disneyland prices. You get in there and you're like, oh my gosh, it's, you know, it's $10 for a soda. Oh, at least the water's only $6. You know, we're still paying $6 for a water bottle. You know, so it's like, it's the same thing. Yeah, it's like when you're in an ecosphere of that, you compare it to relativity, right? Or it's like, I don't know if you've seen the whole science behind like small, medium, large, and how medium's always like, you look at the difference between small and medium and the gap from medium to large. Like, there's science behind that, and to try to get the brand to be like, oh, there's value, but it's in its own ecosystem of value, right? So that being said, what I want to think about is, like, guys, obviously, you know, I'm always thinking about, and Alex is too, is just content in general. And I made shift to Rivals. Yes, definitely, you know, created a lot of content there. Things are going good and doing casting and whatnot. But, you know, I've got to look at anything I ever put my time to, and like, is this making sense for me? At the end of the day, I'm supporting my family. That's got to be number one. And am I having fun? If I'm not having those, if there's one of those things missing, I got to evaluate. If it's two, I'm done, right? So looking at this, it's like, well, how does Snap get back or even stay on subtle ground? Because it's been staying level, right? Like, at least there was like levelness to it. Now there's dip, like, period, call what you want, across content, and there's been dip, okay, but like way more noticeable dip, okay? And when there's dip, it doesn't come back. We've seen that history repeat itself too. We've seen that now for a couple of years. There hasn't been a feature, a thing that has brought them back. I do truly think if there was a mode that was new, that had enough ingenuity and gameplay, right? Like a draft mode, I know we mentioned, I think that could be something tied with marketing that could get people back. But other than that, it's a very tough thing to do. So my worry is like, it's... You know what it is, bro? It's a conversation that's funny between these two games. They're like WoW and RuneScape, okay? So people are leaving WoW because World of Warcraft has like almost like the servers are about only like a year until it's like, okay, it's back to vanilla WoW again. And people go to RuneScape because your progress, they know it's going to last a long time, right? And they're kind of putting their investment into something that has a long shelf life, okay? But then when you look at WoW, people don't want to put their time in that because it's so short-lived, right? So with Snap, it's like, obviously new players have their own thing to go through, but even people that have been playing, it's like, people are going to be less interested in playing because they almost are looking at it as a sinking ship. And it's like, well, do I want to even put more money, time, effort, talent, all of that into this game? And that's what has me worried.
Oh, that's absolutely like the perfect way to kind of encapsulate what this issue is. There's this idea of like this sunken cost where people will like continue to invest in something even though like they should probably stop, right? And obviously that's a psychological thing that's much more complex than that. And what I've seen lately has been a massive deviation from the norm. We're seeing way more drop off, far fewer players interested in Marvel Snap as a whole. And I think that it's just there's been that straw that broke the camel's back, as they say, that one push a little too far on a couple different things. It hasn't been one particular thing altogether. It wasn't just Kid Omega. It wasn't just Fantastic Car. It wasn't just any one of those individual things. It's been the entire package that has been pushing people away. And it has been a little heartbreaking, we have seen a major drop off. But I think you asked the most important question. What does Marvel Snap do now? What do they do to re-engage their audience? And can they even re-engage their audience? Because in my experience, if you look at most games, like if you go and you check out like Google Trends on most games, they have like a shark fin, right? They got the interest that goes up and then it kind of fades over time. Live service games tend to have a longer tail because they obviously with updates and new releases, they kind of keep up. And Marvel Snap, I would consider along that. Unfortunately, Marvel Snap is seeing much more of a drop off than others. But that's not to say that like that's unique. You look up Pokemon Pocket, a very similar phenomenon. Pokemon Pocket was a great pop off at the start. And I remember even at the start, I remember me and you had this conversation. I said, I think Marvel Snap's a better game than Pokemon Pocket. And I love Pokemon. I got Pokemon all over my shelves. I buy cards for my kids. But at the end of the day, I think Marvel Snap was a better game. And like, so there is this like, I don't want to say games have a shelf life, but there is a bit of an expectation that things kind of, they generally go down over time. There are some games that buck that trend. However, I'm really hoping that Marvel Snap can be one of those. I'm slowly starting to lose faith that it will be, though. Because I think that there is this like repeated decision making that, I don't know. I don't know. I just don't know, man.
So here is kind of what Alex is talking about. And funny enough, you're always going to have big booms when games start. Like Rivals had like 700,000 players playing at first. You'll never have that. It's just it's a wave, right, that comes and then they stable out. So what you're seeing here, this is the life of Snap, right? And you have the uptick. The other uptick there in the middle is, I believe, when the TikTok shutdown thing happened and Snap trended because it was one of the games that were banned in the US. It was a very hot topic. Like Dextero, everyone covered it, right? So that's that obviously huge pop off for literally one day, and then look at the steep drop off. And then after that, you could see all-time low without any question. And you could go back and continue to go back. And that line, if it follows the trajectory, goes down to below launch, right? So like it's heading to a position of where you never want it to go. And that's what's the concern. I think for me, listen, I've been a part of a mobile game, okay, that you get two reactions from players, and you guys watching, you guys are going to have this. Like, we're not talking about this to bring doom and gloom. It's more of, if we don't, there's certainty that it dies. And if we do, there's a chance that there's maybe changes that be made, or at the very least, we can at least go out swinging, right? Because you're going to feel anger, a good chunk of viewers. Like, you guys are so doom and gloom, but I've seen this song and dance before. It was like, it's fine, game's fine. And then before you know, the game got shut down overnight, the other one. And so it's like with this, we're trying to speak out now to try to get any type of a voice out there. And I think it's important to look at it. And it's like, we already kind of stretched this conversation with Regis of like how we got here and everything. But, you had this like game of mass performance. And now it's just, at this point, if I'm Snap, or if I don't want to like cash it out as second dinner, it's like, why not maybe it's not the most balanced, I don't know, but why not make a draft? Why not make something that you think truly will get players back? Throw what funds you do have allocated into a couple months into marketing, all for that, and then try to build from there, right? Because other than that, then, this is going to be an incredible fun digital game that is always going to be known for being one of the most fun times, but then it died too soon, right? And like that will be what its history is, instead of lasting. Star Wars Galaxy Heroes is the most hero collector. Dude, that thing still is beyond kicking. It's been going on 15 years or something like that. Like, this has every chance to go on for a very long time, but it's sad that this is kind of where it's kind of going to. And so I'm just trying to like, I was racking my brain in the flight, man. I was just like, what can they do? Because it's not on us. Like, I could make the coolest videos ever for Snap and put all my time towards it. It's not going to change anything. It's just not going to. That's not how it works. So it's like, man, what else?
I've been thinking about the exact same thing. It's actually been a bit of a source of stress where I'm like, you feel a little powerless, right? Like, you're not quite sure. Like, obviously, I cover Marvel Snap because I love Marvel Snap. And even like when I was originally making content in the Dota universe, I only started making Marvel Snap videos because I loved the game enough that like I remember being like, I'm done streaming Dota. I'm just gonna play Snap. Yeah, I only have 3 viewers, but I'm having the most fun I've ever had, and I feel like I'm onto something special. Then the rest is history, right? And so like I deeply I love this game. I do, and I really hope it can turn. I would love to see that graph go vertical. I love to see a parabolic change. I know you would love that too. Let's be honest. We would love to see that. But there's concerns. And you know what really keeps me up at night? I think there's my fear. My big fear for Snap is not like, oh, what do they monetize now? Like that's my fear is losing Glenn. I feel like if for whatever reason, if someone as talented as Glenn is like, you know what? You know, maybe the writing's on the wall. Maybe Second Dinner's next project isn't in his wheelhouse where his skills are going to be utilized. He can go back to designing stuff for Magic. He can go back to do, and I think that would be such a catastrophic loss to this team. And I bring that up because over the last little bit, I was going through some of my contacts and stuff, and a lot of the people that I had originally had kind of like followed on Twitter or whatever it is, they've moved on from Second Dinner. So we talked about the major shift, like changeovers that have occurred there, and I'm concerned. I'm just concerned. Like I just wonder about like how devastating a loss of someone like Glenn would be, considering how much I think that he holds this game together for the most part. But I really hope they figure something out. And you're right, we can't change it. We can help if they include us in ways with new exciting materials and allow us to provide feedback on new things, that because we are in touch with the community in a way that I think is important. But at the end of the day, you know, we can only do so much elbow grease. They're the ones that got to release the finished product that compels players to come back and stay.
And they're capable of putting out cool new cards and product. We've seen that. The Champions thing is really cool. Like, they have things cooking, and that's awesome. But it doesn't matter how crazy of things you have come out if a game is on its way down. I will say the one thing that can really help this game is like whenever Force Awakens came out, I remember I got out of the movie theaters and I was like, man, I got to play some I got to get some Star Wars in my life right now, right? And so Marvel, it's no secret, has been on the downward trend for a while. Thunderbolts, you know, I thought was really good. That's brought it up. Fantastic Four is getting good reviews, whatever. If Doomsday pops off like crazy, which has been delayed now, but that's a long ways away. It's December, I believe, of next year now. But like, if Marvel Cinema is going up, and now they have a real healthy competition. I believe Superman got great reviews. Haven't seen it yet myself. But like, as the MCU, if the MCU does really well, it does help out games like this. So there is that in free marketing almost that will happen. Right? Say what you want, guys. Rivals, it was a great thing to happen for Snap because it did help out get Marvel more hot and into people's lives and come over here to this game. I think a lot of people went from Snap to Rivals, but there is to be said that people went from Rivals to Snap because they want to be, they love Human Torch that game. They want to see him in this game, right? Like, that's just kind of the nature of it. But yeah, that's, you know, that's the hope of it. And with that, I have with this is the future of the Snapchat, guys, right? So obviously we've been now, September's 3 years, which is so cool to look at. In general, Alex and I love this, love doing it all together. And it's the content on my channel at the moment. The Snapchat will be out. We definitely love what we do here. I would say 100% on my side. Alex, I haven't even like gone into great. We've talked about discussion pieces between the two of us of what we want to continue to do with this thing. I would say it's almost a certain that there'll be really fun subjects moving forward, which we've been doing this forever anyway. We've been doing a zoo tier list back on our first year, right? But I would say one of my subjects will definitely be reserved now for just pure fun, whatever that is. Whatever it is, if you guys skip the intro, keep doing that because that's what a subject will be. Probably will be reserved at the last one, just video games of the 90s, whatever it might be. That is probably going to more than likely happen. If you want to come here for the new card stuff, new conversations, that's there too. But Alex and I want to make sure that this is still something that we have passion about. And I can be, I'm passionate about Alex Kocha, I can tell you that. But that can only go so far, right? And so we want to make sure that there's love between all of it and it's not repeated subjects and things like that. And so, you know, the Snapchat's still going to be y'all's Snapchat that you know. But if you guys want us to dive into Alex not knowing even the most basic pop culture references, awesome because that's what's about to happen here over on my side and Alex as well. I know we're gonna just continue to have fun on both sides.
Yeah, I think that we obviously have a formula that works, right? We figured out the Snapchat formula, and it's definitely been something that has served us, the community, well over like almost 3 years now. It's actually crazy to think that's
A
the
long
case.
time.
But I also think it's important that we do reinvent what this is in order to give it the staying power that I think it deserves. And so, yeah, because I absolutely do agree. And, we're going to continue kind of like investigating ways to make this better, make it a compelling product. And come hell or high water, like the one thing I want to do is I want to make sure I have an opportunity to come on here and have fun, talk about stuff that excites the both of us. And one thing that we don't want the Snapchat to be is just two dudes showing up for a shift, right? Like
Yeah.
that's the literal worst thing that can happen for us and for the audience. We want this to be a fun experience for everyone involved, because when we're having fun, we know that you guys can feel that, and I think that's really important to us.
Yeah, and I think that it was, whenever it came up with the idea of it, it wasn't even like ever only about Snap. Like, I think it was maybe the first couple, and then it was like, oh, wow, the rapport between us two is so fun just to talk about anything. There's times when me and you were talking prior to our calls that, like, I'm like, dang it, why are we not recording this? It's just such fun conversation. And so I think, I think someone said on a comment below, like, 2 dads cast or something, like it that will be one of the subjects, right? Maybe 2. Maybe we split it between our 2. We're going to dive more into that. But expect just more. Listen, if there's one thing I know that we will do with it is keep it entertaining, because how can you not with Alex Koja here at the helm? And all, yeah, he had a fish taco once, guys, and goes, what's a fish taco? I'll never forget it. Anyway, that's really it about the future of the Snapchat. You can expect more of that. You are going to get your Snap Talk. Plenty, get a little bit of both. If you like us going off the random cuss, great. Good news for you. It's more of that. If you want us to stick to Snap, well, that's going to stay the same about, right? So either way, that is what is the Snapchat's all about, guys. Human Torch, maybe too hot. Snap, not at the moment, as you saw from the thumbnail, and the future of this. Alex, any closing notes, bud?
No, I think that we did a really good job to kind of break down like how we're feeling. And I think at the end of the day, like with regards to the Snapchat, we're going to look for ways to reinvent it. We're going to look for ways to make it the best it can be. And we don't have all those answers yet. Like Cozy and I are still kind of brainstorming ideas and coming up with things. And there's also other avenues for like content and ways we can kind of approach content creation together and collaboratively. I think I made up a word there. But anyways, long story short, I think that like you guys mean a lot to us. I think that I can speak on behalf of Cozy and I that as much fun as him and I have together, you guys are a huge part of this, especially those of you that still listen to this show. Some of you don't even play Snap anymore. You really are here because you like what we do and you're engaged with this community, and that does not get lost on us. You guys are very, very important to us, like beyond measure. And we want to make sure that even if you lose interest in Marvel Snap, there's a reason to tune in to Cozy and Alex, because we value your time, and we're so appreciative of the fact that you've supported us through these years.
Yeah, dude, I think actually that says it really well. Like, dude, I have been over the last like couple months probably stretched the most thin I've ever felt between casting and between Rivals, and outside of when this new season's launch, I do like 4 to 5 videos. I only get like 4 videos a month right now on Rivals. I'm just not having time over there either. And without a beat though, there's one thing that I'm always making sure I have time for, and I can tell you, I can promise you guys, it does not make sense revenue wise for myself. It doesn't. Period. End of discussion. But that doesn't matter, because to me, it's more about like what we've made and created here over 3 years, right? And how important that is to me. And even if I just casted a grand final, like I missed the first time in who knows how long, I couldn't even speak. Like it was an absolute, like I was torn to shreds, and I still was like, I can do it. And I'm like, I have to take a step back and think about this. So it's something that is super important to both of us, and that's why we're still kicking on this thing. If it was about just putting food on the table for my family kind of thing, I would just go and double up my Rivals video. In the time that it takes to do one of these, I could do 2, Rival videos. So that isn't it. It's about just carrying on this show, being with you guys, having a good time doing it. I think is always important too. And on the way back on my flight, I'm like, oh man, what are some fun talking points to the Snapchat? I'm always still thinking about it, right? And so just happy to be here another week, man, and we'll make it 3 years.
Yeah, I can't wait. At the end of the day, I have full faith in our ability to make sure that we can deliver something that everyone's going to have fun and enjoying. And you know, 1 year from now, maybe this looks completely different. Like we don't know. We don't know. But at the end of the day, we're going to do the best that we can to make sure that we deliver a product that you guys, of course, can enjoy.
Alrighty, guys. Well, if you want to go and catch Mr. Fantastic and Herbie review, as well as the conversation around the Fantastic car, head over to Alex's side of the Snapchat, as well as the Snapchat mailbag, guys. Have a good week out there. Enjoy yourself. Until the next one, happy snapping.